Mayor, I got one, as we know that, the PSJ, school district is having elections this year, and we have concerns that, we have one, person from our sister city that is running for one of our seats. Just wanna let the community know to come out and support our Alamonians, because, you know, our voices here in Alamo deserve to have representation on the board. And also, Mayor, you know, questions have been asked about you as well, about, you, supporting this idea. I do ask that, as people are asking, requesting and asking, that, you all support our Alamonians.
When you ask Commissioner Garza, I'll answer you.
Commissioner, anything that you would swear by for time?
Any more announcements, presentations? Okay, now we go into item D, consider an action to approve the minutes for the first regular meeting of September 1, 2020. This item was tabled.
Motion to table?
We move this second, that we remove this from the table, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item D, consider an action to approve the minutes for the first regular meeting of September 1st, 2020.
I submitted some notes to the city manager, before the meeting that, on the verbatim
Okay?
information, so I would like the minutes to be corrected based on what I submitted to him. Motion to approve.
We move the second, that we approve, present, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item E, consideration action to approve the minutes for the second regular meeting of September 15, 2020.
There's no additions or corrections, so move to approve.
Second.
Move the second, that we approve, present, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item F, consideration action to approve the minutes for the special meeting of September 24th, 2020.
Motion to approve.
Second. Move the second, that we approve, present, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item G, update mayoral declaration of local state of disaster due to public health emergency. Okay?
Yes, Mayor, this, declaration is the same as the one that we approved 2 weeks ago. The only things that we changed were the dates, for it to begin October 7th and for it to end on October 20th, which will be the date of our next meeting. At this time, I'd like to mention, I guess just some questions that I had gotten in regards to garage sales and the park rental. I wanted to bring it forward to you to see what you think as far as allowing garage sales to start again. And also what you would think of renting our baseball fields for practice purposes.
Are other fields available for rental, or the summer, like, behind the police department?
Right, those wouldn't be, but it's the
Sport
ones
complex,
that
right?
the sport complex, those are actually, those have to be rented out.
So the sports complex to have tournaments, right, as far as those
Well,
select teams, or?
we would only talk about the practice.
Practice.
Because I believe that's what I spoke to several cities, they said that we have everything shut down, the only one that's actually renting fields is the city of San Juan. And so if we want to be similar to what they're doing, or we can say no rental fields. That's either, but they did specify that it was for practice games.
My question to the chief, how are our numbers, chief?
As of, this morning, we're indicating 5 so far.
This afternoon, I got a text, 6 and 2 people dying. I don't know if they were inside the city or outside.
I don't have that information.
I don't have that information.
You're talking about just the city of Alamo, chief?
Just the city of Alamo.
On the other scared. I mean,
So what about the soccer and all that? I mean, I understand they're out there, so that's why I guess the people are asking that.
Right.
Are we realizing the other areas?
Because, you know, soccer or basketball, like they get together for that, and so it's kind of the same thing. For the baseball, because we have control over it, we lock the gates and we keep people out of it. So, I mean, they could take a field, they could take a green area and practice there if they'd like, but we do not support any games to be held or anything like that. So practices, I mean, it's gonna be like I said, it's really up to the commission. If you're gonna be for it, then we can just, I can allow that. I can allow that through the city.
they didn't give direction or something.
No, it's all
It's all
to
the
the
city.
city's decision. Yeah, like I said, only someone is the one who's doing it. If we feel that we wanna try it out, out, just to see how it works out, then we can do it.
I don't think we should have tournaments, but at least,
Would it be a liability for the city in case that, you know, there's a spread?
We would,
COVID?
we would possibly have them sign, some sort of a waiver or a full harmless.
It's gonna open up a lot of problems, a lot of issues.
The same question with the garage sales. They asked that about garage sales, just, you know, when can we have them open? And again, I did ask cities, and the ones that did respond to me, they mentioned that they do not permit them at this time.
I don't agree with, you know, at this time, no garage sales and no practice, even though they're practicing soccer out there, but, you know, that's on their time, just like San Juan has field soccer.
So they can find an open space to practice baseball, they can.
I would say so.
Yep,
Use
and
of our
that-
field.
yeah.
And that makes it be up to the parents.
Yeah.
Right, then there's really no liability, we can't.
And then we don't have to, watch over them and make sure everybody's masked
And we're not having to sign waivers on. The other thing I'd like to mention, I know that county had a meeting today. We had a phone call meeting last week with the judge's office where there were some, I guess, terms mentioned about, the Halloween festivities. And there was mention of what we wanted to do, which was, a trunk or treat type festivity, which we're gonna have here in front of City Hall. Vehicles parked, trunks open, where we're just gonna hand off and people were gonna be just driving through, the area. And when we mentioned that, we had a meeting with Dr. Melendez, I think that's his name. And he mentioned that that's what they consider moderate to high risk. So because of that, according to what I was told, in that meeting by the judge's office, was they were gonna cancel all that, and they were supposed to have a new declaration kind of targeting those festivities. I checked online before the meeting, and I didn't see anything yet. I'm assuming we'll see something, we'll see something later, but I just kinda wanted to make it known that, we will probably not be having that trunk or treat festivities along, this area, along the City Hall area. I know I talked to the chief earlier today, and he wasn't aware of that, and I just let him know, like, hey, you know, this is something that is coming down from the county, so I'm just kinda concerned on that, and I just kind of, it's not in this particular declaration, but if the county's order comes in, then I will be utilizing the county's order to enforce that.
Bobby, what about the trailer parks? I don't know, Rec, I know they called me up.
Yeah, again, that, I would say if this is a moderate to high risk, I would say they shouldn't do anything similar to that. If they're gonna do like a little parade inside their thing where everyone stays indoors, I mean, I think that's okay. But if we're talking about that they're gonna be handing out stuff, making something and handing it out to people, that's where there's that chance of high risk.
Okay, good.
So, I guess just to clarify in regards to the parks and, okay. All right.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
If the second, did we approve or sign, all fair side?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item H. And Hector Chapa signed up and Raul Madero signed up for this item, so would you go to the mic, please? The item on the agenda is consideration action, a resolution to approve to authorize the creation of the Rio Grande Valley Regional 911 Emergency Communications District.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commission members. I want to thank you for allowing me to join your meeting. I ask for support in passing the resolution and declaring an emergency communication district. In short, I would like to explain the reasons and consideration in passing the resolution. As of today, our government body is the State of Emergency Communication located in Austin, Texas. Moving forward, our government body will consist of a local board. Our current 911 program must follow state guidelines, make it harder to innovate or bring new ideas into our region. In addition, all the 911 fees that are collected are going to be remitted to the district rather than the state. Furthermore, by becoming a 911 district, the program will continue as is, except for the government body and how funds get distributed. This is all I have for you. I would like to answer any questions at this time.
Any questions?
So So just basically what the resolution is doing is creating a 911 emergency communication district, which we are members of, correct? Our member's gonna be the chief, and so Solis and Elizabeth Navarro will be the alternates.
That's our ECAC advisory committee, that advises in the region, or a local region.
Okay. So is that not gonna be the board itself?
The board itself is based on the legislation, is composed of elected officials.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that'll come out of the LRGBDC?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second, do you represent all fair side?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item I, considers an action for an appeal on an ACAP application for 1019 West Business Highway 83.
Yes, Mayor, this is, in regards to our ACAP program. This program, when we first created it, we didn't have an appeals process on it. The reason it's before us today is because the AEDC is the review board for this particular application, but they have already finished, all the reviews, and they're not gonna have any more. This particular, application was one that they did review. However, because the applicant was related to one of the board members, they could not approve it at that board. So later, after they had the review meeting, the board member has resigned, so now they're no longer on the board. So I received an email in regards to allowing us to review the appeal, because they won't be having any more reviews of the AEDC. So that we can, award this particular applicant, based on that. According to, our AEDC director, Mr. Tapia, they reviewed the application. The business had almost $16,000 in loss. It is not, back then when the COVID-19 started, between March and I guess June, July, it was not considered what they call an essential business. So because of that, it had to be shut down, so there was that loss that she was able to bring in proof of. The only thing that kept her from getting awarded was the fact that she was related to a board member. This person has resigned, due to a heart rehabilitation that he's doing. He had, I think, some surgery or something. And he says, you know, hopefully that when he's done with his heart rehab, that he can come back and become a member of another board or a board with the city again.
So she qualifies for the,
She does qualify for the full amount of $5,000. I'm not sure if Mr. Tapia is here today, but, okay. And if you have any further questions in more detail, then I would ask that.
if the board went over it, she qualified for it. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Second, do we represent all fair side?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, now we go into a public hearing of the City of Alamo's intent to submit a funding application under the 2015 CDBG MITGLO programs to undertake citywide infrastructure, drainage, sewer system, street improvements, and housing-related acquisitions, buyouts, relocations, and down payment assistance activities. Mr. Briones.
Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. Let me first give you a little overview of why this item is on the agenda for the benefit of the public. The federal and state rules require that a public hearing be conducted by the applicant, in this case, the City of Alamo. The city intends to submit an application for up to $10 million to the Texas General Land Office. The deadline for that application is October 28th, which is just around the corner in a couple of weeks. So in keeping with the rules, that's why we have a public hearing. The purpose of the hearing, this hearing, is to accept comments obviously from the city council and also any member of the public regarding the program. Having said that, Mr. Cedillo, who's opening at the office, has been handing out a brief description of what the rules say, public participation. And then the second page will give you a little summary. First of all, let me say this. This is not the final budget. The final budget is still yet to be approved by the city council, I believe on the 20th, That's good, the next second reading, that's when the final budget will be submitted. So, any member of the public or resident of Alamo that wishes to express some interest in this program, you can do it either this evening or in writing, by either email or by a note to Mr. Salinas as a city manager. So we can incorporate any comments into the overall application that will be submitted to the state. What the federal government asks for very emphatically is that we make every opportunity for the public to participate in this process of seeking funds from the federal government. Okay, let me go to two parts of the next page. The scope, this project involves 5 different components, or 5 activities that I call. The first one is drainage. Second, water systems. Third, streets improvements, sewer improvements, and housing. The lines you see below includes project management, which is a requirement, environmental. These are all, by the way, all required activities that the federal government requires. Project management, environmental review, neighbor standards, which means compliance with neighbors-vacant waste rates, section 3, and inspection. And then, of course, the engineering component, and then a breakdown of how much funds are being allocated for each of the activities. For instance, drainage, 2 million, water, 1.2 million, streets, 1.8 million, sewer, 1.6 million, housing, 1,848,000, for a total construction cost of 8,448,000. The total budget would be 9,829,000. Right below it, you'll see a very brief description of what the funds would be used for. For instance, for drainage. And of course, again, I emphasize, this is not the final scope of work. This is still subject to the discretion of the city council, and of course, what any comments may come from this forum. Okay, so on drainage, part of the scope of work is to address the flooding that occurs on Alamo Road between the expressway and business 83. Underwater, the water systems, the idea would be to replace approximately 2 miles, and I say approximately 2 miles of water lines. 3, for streets, either resurface or conduct new street paving with curb and guttering in the old town site. Primarily, we've looked at between business 83 to Crockett, from Tower Road to 13th Street. So that's a general target area. Sewer, again, the same area, from business 83 through Crockett, from Tower Road to 13th Street. Again, keep in mind, this is just for discussion purposes. And then the third would be to allocate at least 80,000 to assist 22 eligible households with buyouts, acquisition, relocation, and direct incentive assistance, which means that basically to provide assist 22 families in Alamo with housing, or either replacement or new construction. So that's the scope of the project. Right below it, you see a breakdown of what those particular activities include: buyouts, property acquisition, down payment assistance, closing costs, direct incentives, and relocation. And that's where the 80,000 comes from. This is in draft form, so please keep this in mind. Mayor, I'm done with my presentation. I'm open to questions. Keep in mind that this no decision will be made tonight for the benefit of the public. This is the final decision on the budget should be made by the city council on the 20th. Okay, so please just keep that in mind. The whole purpose of this is to accept comments from any member of the public or the city council.
Is this a public hearing?
Question. It's just being recorded, so if anybody from the public
The voice is being recorded, yes.
Okay, good. So if anybody wishes to make any comments, please identify yourself for the purpose of the record, because the minutes of what's gonna be recorded will be included as part of the record and part of the application that will go to the state agency. And that's part of the requirements. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Burris. No. So I open this for a public hearing. Any comments from the public? Come on.
Yes, Mr. Ramirez, do you have any more comments, by chance?
Happy?
I did have a couple of comments. You mentioned 22 families, how did you come up with that number?
It's just an arbitrary number, based on the overall budget, color subscription. To hit at least at 9.8 million, a little bit under the 10 million, then you break it down, the discussions I've had with the city manager and some of the staff, they were pretty much targeted different priorities for the city, and housing is one of them.
So it could flex.
And it can be either more or it could be less, depending on the availability of funds.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Omar Gamma,
Omar, can we have your address for the record?
939 West Austin Street.
Thank you.
I just want to have a few minutes, just kind of,
Sure.
I might have another question.
Sure, certainly, thanks. By the way, if anybody wishes to submit something in writing, of course, Mr. Salinas will receive it for purposes of the record. So you're not restricted to make any comments right now. You can do so between now and the 20th.
Is this a public hearing? Any comments?
Omar Gamma, 939 West Austin. So you also mentioned, the project delivery, the case management, 1.2, 117,000.
Yes.
What did that entail as far as?
That includes all the administrative requirements, including the financial management. In other words, keeping the project in compliance with all the federal administrative and financial requirements.
You also have your 1.2, is that just standard? I mean, I'm with the assumption that you're not just doing this for the city of Alamo, I'm assuming that you're doing it for the other cities. So the projection that you have here is a 1.2, environmental review is 0.8, labor standard 0.8, 1.8. That's all just kind of basic standard of what?
The rules that the HUD has put out through the general land office allow this as far as percentages. For project delivery, which includes general management and general administration, it can go up to 12%. Okay. Engineering can go up to 15%, and then the balance will go into construction. It could be between 80 to 90%. So it depends on
So it's
when the budget is approved.
So you also mentioned like, engineering and architectural, you have on like 4.7, I'm assuming that's also standard.
Well, as far as engineering, this is what again, the general rules say as far as the general land office and the state guidelines allow up to 15% to be charged by the engineer. Of course, the percentage is negotiated between the applicant, in this case, the city, and the engineer. That's why between now and the 20th, that's when the city will need to look at, or rather the city council will need to look at the specific line items, and that all the items have been agreed on.
But that's just basically the standard of 4.7.
Yeah, that's generally it.
So that can go up or can go down by any chance, or, I mean, what is the norm, what is everybody else doing as far as the other cities?
Well, my experience over the last 5 years has been to negotiate first, and the standard rate has been between 4.5% to 6% after negotiations.
After negotiations, so you're saying 6 may be the tops, right?
Yes.
I got a question. You gave us one set of numbers, and then you gave us another set of numbers. Or I see here that the engineering is 8%.
This is just to show you that that budgets, are still in the evolution stage, that it's still evolving. The final product won't be, before you until you, have it on your agenda for your city council meeting, I believe on the 20th, right, Mr. Smith? So that's when you'll have the final budget, after further discussions and fine tuning the budget.
Okay.
So that, but you have it just all preliminary.
And what changed it from 4.7 to 8% on the engineering?
Well, like I was mentioning to Mr. Guerra,
Yes.
this is all being, negotiated. I've taken it upon myself as the consultant for the project to offer suggestions and negotiate the percentages. Okay, and it's still ongoing, so no final.
Negotiation with who, sir?
With the engineer that the city council approved, about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, so you met with him?
Yes, I met with him,
And that's what he suggested, 8%?
I'm sorry?
8%, he said?
I received it in writing, yes.
Mr. Briones, what's the max again?
Up to 15%.
15%?
That's a max, yes.
But there's not a starting point. There's the 4.7 you came up with.
Yes, I mean, that's all our referring to. This is a city budget, this is your grant application, and you're the one that will be making the final, decision on the total project, and how it's gonna be broken up.
On the other cities that you have done the application, this has been the norm, the 4.7%?
Yes, I'm working with the city of La Villa and the city of San Carlita, and that's been the norm with them.
So by going with the 4.7%, that allows more infrastructure to the city.
More money for construction, yes.
Mr. Briones, how long ago was that?
I'm sorry?
How long ago was that?
As far as what, I'm sorry?
You're saying that San Carlita and,
It's ongoing right now.
but how long ago was that?
It's ongoing right now. I mean, we have the same thing right now with the Guadalupe County Housing Authority and the city of La Villa. In fact, tomorrow night, we have the public hearing, like this. We have the scheduled public hearing in La Villa. We had the public hearing in San Carlita about 2 weeks ago. So that was the direction that the city council was going.
I mean, what do we do on the sewer plant? What do we give our engineer?
What do we give our engineer?
Yeah, what is the engineer for the sewer plant? Was it at 12%?
I think if you add the engineering, design, and construction management, yes.
He ended up with 12%?
12%.
12?
12%, way lower than the 8% that the engineers asked before. Which means that that's the way Mr. Briones said, we can go up to 15%. The engineer can ask for up to 15%. That's gonna be the decision of the commission. The way it was to give the sewer plant project 12% to the engineer.
That's your option, yes, that's your option. Keep in mind also that, in a budget like this, the federal government has allowed up to 10 million to apply for. So the idea would be if we were gonna go with, let's say, for the sake of discussion, 15%, then the difference would have to come out from somewhere, and more than likely would have to come out of construction. So that would mean reducing either the number of housing units, the linear feet of paving, that kind of thing.
Also, the cost of, material and all that goes up, right?
Yes.
It just stay the same.
All of that would be accordingly.
Yeah.
So just for the sake of discussion on the numbers you gave, as a project manager, your percentage is higher than the engineer doing the work.
And the 1.2.
Or going back to, we see 6.4%.
I'm sorry?
Going back to it, we see 6.4.
Yes. That's not those are for compliance activities that are passed through, like that.
So 1.2% would be for you.
Yes.
We have the engineer here, if anybody can.
Yes. That's zero.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioner, Mr. Salinas. Rick Salazar, Chairman, I'm the President of Paramount Consulting City. We are located before, and as you all know, I'm a local resident. I live in Alamo, live my good faith on us, I understand that you make the motion for us, so thank you very much for that. Any questions?
I didn't make the motion. Pete made the motion. Okay. Any more comments from the committee?
Yeah, I did, you mentioned also on the flex between the 4.7 and 8%, right? So it's to our benefit, or as the city, or just in general, the residents, because if it stayed at 4.7, then hopefully based on your projections, you could possibly meet the 22 families, right? But anything that's negotiated above that, someone's gonna lose. So you're taking from another project, basically, right, to pay off. So it is to the benefit of city council to try to see if we can get the lowest bid, so to speak.
Yes, a point I'd like to mention, it's up to the discretion of the city council. However, I do want to point out that, like you say, in order to accommodate a higher percentage, then something else has to give, and more than likely will be the construction line items.
But
Let me add this also, that historically, with my experience with dealing with the general land office, they encourage, and I emphasize, encourage very highly that there would be more money allocated for construction. So I just want to point that out, that's when I think that they do encourage very highly.
On the two projects that you've worked on.
Three. Well, actually over the last 10 years, yes.
But it is possible, you mentioned two cities that they went ahead and two other cities in the valley that went ahead and got into it, or got a company to go ahead and do this, right?
Yeah.
For the lower price. So I just want to
Also,
know.
remember looking at the paperwork we have there?
Uh-huh.
$157,000 is, from my understanding, a check that's gonna be given to the city for general administration.
Where is this at? Where, the general secretary? Oh, yeah, I see it.
Which, we don't have a clear understanding what $157,000 to the city is for general administration.
That you still don't know. That will be clarified later on.
No, I can address that point right now. It's the general administration is primarily for the city's internal management and accounting systems. This is to offset any staff time involved with this project. And of course, that percentage is arbitrary. Under that, we can go up to 2%.
Mayor, I do have a presentation that I have, with the breakdown. I know you're seeing, 8% as a factor in non-engineering. What you gotta understand is, from the management point, it's a whole different animal to engineering. What an engineer has to do to get this project out, it's beyond what the manager is supposed to do. I do have a breakdown that I would like to put on the screen so that you could understand my breakdown, where we're coming from. Just so that you understand, through the Urban County, just here in Delaware County, all projects that come into Urban County, they have a engineering fee from 8% to 2% with a mean of 10% paying out to the engineer. We're below that 10%, which is an 8%, that's what we're looking at. If you let me, I wanna show this breakdown so that you can understand what we have, why we have an 8%.
Have you previously done, GLO, projects here?
Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I did a one.
Your company?
I have 18 years experience in engineering. I got 1 year of construction manager. I did construction in San Antonio. I did construction in Colorado, and I have 17 years of experience on the 1 year of construction. I also do surveying. I'm not in the field. I don't depend on anybody. I have boots to the ground, and I do surveying. I do the research, and I do all the permits. I coordinate with the state. I coordinate with the county. I do all the calculations, and I do everything that needs to get done. As you can see here, this is a paper set that everybody's looking at. Regarding the 8%, there's a 1% on environmental, An environmental, it's a document that we need to submit to the state. It takes 8 to 10 months to get the approval, to get a project done. Item number 2, we have a 1.5% on data collection and research. We have to do about 2-3 months of research, make sure that we capture everything that's underneath the street, everything that's underneath the ground. It is not one thing that we keep doing 2 or 3 days. It takes about 3 months to get this done. From surveying, research, property, dealing with Texas Gas Services, dealing with, I'm gonna take my mask off, excuse me. Dealing with the county, dealing with the state, making sure that all the crossings where this infrastructure is gonna go is gonna be, able to pass through there without any problems. Not only that, but water lines, sewer lines, cables, AT&T, Spectrum, all these companies, as a matter of fact, I think there's a big gas line running through here, through Tower Road, that we don't have any idea. This is the importance of a city having a master plan. If the city has a master plan for water, sewer, and storm, we wouldn't be doing this just in 3 or 4 weeks. The master plan will take about a year and a half. I did a master plan for the city of FAR. We did a master plan for the city of FAR. They have everything jotted down. The master plan will give you everything from what needs to get done for the first 5 years, what needs to get done for the second 5 years, and what needs to get done for the third 5 years. This is a master plan. A master plan is a Bible for the city. It lets you know what to invest your money at. As far as I know, City of Alamo does not have a master plan. City of FAR just received $37 million. We worked on that, on the $37 million from Texas Water, excuse me, from Texas Water Development Board. $37 million. I did the master plan. We did the master plan. Thank you very much. The master plan that we did for City of FAR went up to 20 years. That was how FAR was able to get $37 million. Me and my partner were paid from the City of FAR $7,000 for each item. One for clean water, one for drinking water. It's an $18.5 million contract and a $17.5 million contract that they were able to get from the master plan because they had everything in front of them. This is the importance of having that master plan. City of Alamo have been told about this, and to this day, there's no master plan. Right now, I don't know, I live in Alamo, and I don't know the infrastructure in Alamo. I don't know it. I live here 47 years now. 47 years here. I'm giving you, I'm put it to what we're thinking that we need. The drainage in front of Whataburger is so bad that we get drowned. Whataburger and Walgreens got water inside. This is what we're thinking that the city needs. This project is not nowhere $2 million. I don't know where the $2 million came in for infrastructure for drainage. This project, and I did one. FAR did one 12 years ago, and I'm gonna show you the difference. This project is connecting to an outflow, the outflow that's right here in the back. But I don't know what kind of pipe we need. If y'all remember, the drainage at Whataburger, 3-4 feet high, got inside Whataburger, got inside Walgreens. You don't have any infrastructure that connects to there. Is this the solution? No. This is not the solution to not get drowned in the Whataburger. This is a step forward in trying to resolve that problem with Whataburger in front of Walgreens. This is only a little portion of what needs to get done. That dish up there will probably need to be expanded in order to be able to get all the water over there, all the drainage over there. So this is only a small problem. I've calculated, I've done this for the city with no cost. I've paid this gentleman and this lady from my pocket to give you this. $3.7 million. This is what the project is gonna cost. How do I know this? Because there was a project that was done 12 years ago. Can you put it? This project was done 12 years ago at $2.1 million. That's a little bit under 5,000 linear feet of pipe. This is a change order that was done for a total amount of $2.06 million. How much did the engineer get? This is a GLO project. How much did the engineer get paid? The engineer get paid 12% of what the project cost. $70,000 for the preliminary. PS&Es, $141,000. Construction management, $23,000. $5,000 for geotech, $5,000 for construction testing, and $2,000 for permits. That's a total of $247,000. 8%.
Project in FAR.
Yes, it is for 8% of what? Go back. What I have, 8% of this, 8% of this equals this amount, $295,000, which is a lot less than what FAR submitted. This is a GLO project, side by side to a GLO project. Engineering is not just a month or two. This project right here, if it gets done, you're looking at 2.5 to 3 years, from start to finish. That's what we're looking at. At a 4%, it can't be done. If you're gonna dig a ditch, a pond, then yes, I'll take the 4% anytime. I cannot take 4% for this. I don't know, you don't know what's under there. That's 40, 50 years of infrastructure underneath the pavement there. I'll pay that amount for the survey. That's where the 8% comes. Go ahead, go back to the percentages. Okay. 3.5% for engineering, PS&Es. That's your 4.7% that you're talking about. 0.25% for bidding. That's about $9,000 of that project. Making sure that we get the right contractor, making sure that they submitted everything. And checking background on them. Construction management, 1.5. This is one over a year in construction. A year in construction for this. That's 1.5. Project closeout, that's another 0.25. All that adds up to 8%. Management of a contract to an engineer contract is day and night. Any questions?
Could I be why the sewer plant is at 12% for the engineer?
The sewer plant is at 12% because it's a mechanical design. It has electrical is expensive. Mechanical is different than drainage. Like I said earlier, anywhere from 8 to 12% is what the county's paying, Urban County, with a mean of 10%. I wanna help the city of Alamo, and I'm getting the lowest portion that I could get to pay these guys, to pay my surveyor, and do construction, design and construction for 2.5 years, 3 years, 2.5 years, to be in here, and make sure that the contractor does everything. And my fee has everything, construction, design, permits, everything is there. Questions?
You mentioned, 12 years ago that, some work was done there. What would be the difference between the work that was done and the work that's still doing? Because there was an engineering company, and I think we all know who the engineering company was 12 years ago that did that, and it slightly helped out the flood, or it floods there. It floods less, a little bit less.
Where
The area that you were mentioning, Waterburger, Durant, all that little corner there.
This is nothing, this is a new project for Alamo. What I'm talking is about a project in FAR, which I was doing comparison side by side, apples to apples. And what we want to do here to what FAR did 11 years ago. That was the comparison.
Okay, yeah, because we did have an engineering company that did work on that area that you're talking about for Alamo. The one that you did the breakdown.
Anything that you do that helps is gonna help.
Yeah, and it wasn't too long ago, I'm pretty sure it's documented, because for the longest time, that road was divided, and we had to kind of go over it, et cetera, et cetera. And it did help out a little bit, that Duranta, because really the main problem is that Duranta
Yes.
can work.
Yes,
That-
and the best thing right now, and I mean, I'm just going with my best engineering judgments, 18 years of practice in engineering and doing a project at this caliber, I think something like this, Alamo will benefit out of. This is what needs to get done, and this is only a small step forward. We still need to look into the hydraulics of the ditch. If the ditch over undersized, are they spilling out when you have a 50-year storm? That's what we need to get with the county and try to talk to the county and make sure that they do those studies. But the pipeline is infrastructure that is able to get that water, that drainage from Waterburger and take a pipe and not into the street. That's what we're looking at.
The only reason I ask this question is because, so we don't come into this issue that it still exists. Because an engineering company did that to help it improve. Here we are, we have a bad storm, and yes, it helped, but just a little bit.
I don't think we did it.
It was in the Duranta area that they did that.
And the thing is that this is not gonna solve the problem of flooding. This is not gonna flood, you get 100-year storm here, everything's gonna flood. Far from Juan Alamo Donna, all the way to Brown is gonna be underwater.
I'm not talking about just normal rains and
Yeah,
floods.
yeah. You have to get a
Leave
hurricane.
it the way it is because it's still gonna flood.
No, not necessarily.
Well, you're saying it's still gonna
I
flood.
said,
It's not a 100-year
it depends on the storm that we get. 100-year storm, everything's gonna be underwater. It doesn't matter where you're at.
So,
But if you design for a 50-year storm, 25-year storm, then you have that water and you put it in the pipe and you make sure that the hydraulics are correct inside that pipe so that you don't have the water on top of the street. That's what
but
happens.
you said Waterburger had 3.5 feet, Waterburger had about 1.5 foot.
Well, inside, I'm talking from the street.
From the street, because the street is just about level, the street is not lower than Waterburger. In fact, the street is higher.
I haven't done any survey in that area, like I said, I don't know. Normally, the street is 6 inches, you get a curve, and that development needs to be 18 inches. That's 2 feet right there that needs to be,
Yeah,
that
but
needs to be.
the street there is basically higher than Waterburger.
Okay,
Because that's kind of the way they designed it before.
yes. Oh, well, I wasn't an engineer, I'm sorry.
No, well, that's it. Yeah, like on the street, that's a state.
Yes. Questions?
Comments, questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is great, Mr. Salazar, that you bring us a presentation. I see that, because I know that this has been an issue that, the people of Duranta have been making some concerns about being repaired, and so, I'm gonna thank you for, bringing out this presentation.
Thank you. The city of Alamo means a lot to me. I'm born here, I'm born in San Juan, but I'm raised just north of Alamo, out of the city limits. Now I live in the city limits. I would do whatever I had to do to make sure that I protect Alamo. Alamo is my first priority because I live here. I care for the town.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Going once? Twice? Okay, that concludes the public hearing for this evening. Next item on the agenda is presentation from Schneider Electric regarding the water meter assessment results.
Yes, Mayor, we have, Eric Garcia here with Schneider Electric. And we've got some hard copy presentations, I also have it actually on the,
Tomorrow I have a.
have it on the PowerPoint as well.
Okay.
And we have, Mr. Ryan Wonder as well.
There you go. we had presented the preliminary findings of what we, a meter water audit. And once we went into we presented those preliminary findings, the city decided to contract us to move forward into developing a detailed audit to come back with more concrete numbers. So what we've done since we last saw you is we've done some meter testing throughout the city. We've done some, we've come back, we're gonna be visiting with you about the firm fixed cost of what the project would look like if you move forward with a water meter project. And also the financials and what it would look like on a financial benefit for the city. So some of the items that we're going to talk about are the objectives, goals, the test results, also the lost revenue for the city, the benefits of the project, and another project that we found that would benefit the city as well. That's on energy savings as well. So the objective of our project, and that we understood with the city, was moving forward, looking at the city and visiting with the city. We see the city's moving forward and looking forward thinking. You're looking at ways to modernize and bring up the city to current state. So one of the things is to identify a solution for the city of Alamo that addresses unfunded needs, modernize the city old infrastructure, and maximize water revenues, and also bring in some energy and water savings and operational savings. Next slide. So some of the goals that we focused during this project was maximizing your water revenue, also enhancing your conservation plan, your water conservation plan, also reducing Alamo's utility costs, create a self-funded project that's budget neutral, where savings and revenue will pay for the project. And one of the most important things is to develop a solution through this project that demonstrates wise stewardship with city funds, with no increase in taxes with this project, no passing of a bond, and no raising water rates as well. Next slide. So this is a snapshot of the meter test results. What we did for the city is we pulled 100 meters, randomly picked them at different areas throughout town. The top portion of this slide, the 58%, is what we found on the sampling that was existing water meters that were under-reporting. So 58% of those, and that's a good sample that represents citywide in our experiment. 27% of the existing water meters were accurately reported. 15% of the existing meters were over-reported. So the benefit of this project is to go in and try to correct all these percentages of whether it's a loss or overcharge, and try to get the city to where you need to be and bill accurately, and also capture that revenue. Next page.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You said that 58% of the existing meters were under-reporting water use, so how much is the city losing right there, do you know?
26% in total. We're estimating a 26% water revenue loss for the city.
Because of the rapid meters as well, right?
Because of what?
Because of the rapid reporting as well?
Correct. Typically, what we've seen in most of our projects that we've done is, you know, the 15% on the overcharges is our highest that we've seen so far. So that kind of balances out some of the additional water revenue that you're losing as well. So if that had been lowered, your revenue loss total would be probably in the 30%. Okay, so this next slide is the opportunity and what the savings looks like in monies. So the annual water revenue by replacing and going into a water meter project, your annual water revenue generation would be approximately almost $80,000 a year that you would see.
Everybody has a phone, make sure the mic. We should have phones on the table. Okay,
So the estimated, annual water revenue, about $80,000 a year. The annual operation and maintenance savings by doing a project like this, the city would see about $163,000 in savings per year. And then we also, we'll get into the next portion of this in a little later in the next slides, but the annual energy savings, we looked at the city doing an LED project and replacing all your old lighting and utilizing some savings, and we'll get into that page shortly, but the annual energy savings by doing that is about $36,500 a year. And then there's a one-time rebate that we can get from AEP as well, for $35,000 that will be monies back to the city for doing a project like this. AEP gives incentives, so it's an incentive check that we would get from AEP. So over over a 20-year span, we see that the savings and revenue would be about $7.5 million back into the city's budget. So this next slide, I'm gonna let Ryan jump in. He's gonna talk a little bit about, and we covered some of this with you in the last time, but we're just gonna recap as well what the benefits of doing this water meter project would be.
Thank you, Eric. So if you have any questions, feel free to interject. I'm gonna move through the slides, but welcome to any questions. So if we talk about the current state for water meters in the city right now, the meters are manually read. And of course, when we have manually read meters, that introduces human error and a host of issues that come with manually read meters. Additionally, the meters are mechanical. So in other words, moving parts. It's a traditional mechanical water meter that technology's been around for about 80 years. So the proposed solution is technology. So instead of manually reading the meters, we want to see those meters automatically read, radio read. And that, of course, eliminates that human error, streamlines that reading process. Additionally, the meters themselves, we're talking about a new technology here. So, of course, you can still go buy a traditional mechanical water meter, one with moving parts in it that spins and it registers water increments, but newer technologies exist. That's what we're proposing here with this ultrasonic technology. So, you know, we look at these new water meters, there's literally no moving parts in them. So they're not subject to losing accuracy over time like the old water meters are. The old water meters, the physical parts inside of them wear out and they build up scale, that is the calcium carbonate, magnesium accumulates on those parts and they slow down and lose accuracy over time. So the new technology takes care of that. Additionally, when we have this new radio read technology, we have the ability to look at the data more than once a month. So right now, you really don't get to look at the water that you use except one time a month when you get that water bill. So now with this new technology, there's a lot of benefits that come where you can go in and see your water usage on a daily or even hourly time interval. So obviously, highly accurate water meters reduce water loss. Maintenance is greatly reduced. And then we talk about an increase in water revenue for the city. Here we've got a summary of a lot of those same benefits. You know, the goal here is to have the water meter completely changed out. That includes every water meter in the city. And we want to see the manually read meters go away and go to that automatic system. That data is fully automated, pulled in, eliminating that human error. When we take a look at the project financials, the project cost is about $3.8 million. With the savings and the revenue capture over 20 years, we see a benefit, a positive benefit to the city over $1.47 million, almost $1.5 million. So this is a project that over time actually pays for itself. So not only does it modernize that infrastructure within the city, but it actually pays for itself as well.
Is that with the LED lighting or without it?
That is without the LED lighting. So that's the water meter project by itself. We have another slide here in a little bit. We'll talk about the two combined. So we like to look at the the actual details of the cash flow over time. And again, this is just the water meters. So if we look at this, there's kind of a lot going on here, but, you know, we've got the total cost up in the top left, $3.8 million. We're forecasting a borrowing rate of about 2.25%. Of course, right now, financing rates are at all-time lows. And we consider that as a number that we feel pretty safe. We expect the city will actually do better than that. And when that borrowing, that financial rate is lower, we will actually make all this money better. But the goal of this project, if we look into these columns, we have the tracked utility savings, we have the O&M savings, we have the total savings per year, and then we have the loan payments. The goal is that this project would pay for itself year over year, and that's what we see, where we've got a zero net cash flow every year. And then, of course, after 16 years, the project's paid for, that money goes straight back to the city. So, once the project is paid for, the city will realize the entirety of the benefit, and then over the 20 years, with interest, we're talking about $1.6 million as a net benefit.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is that savings, is that including of the cost of operation or reading the meters? Is that including the cost of the software and the management and the annual probably upgrades of the software and monitoring the software? Because a lot of times that software operation is pretty expensive.
That's a great point, and that's true. There's a lot of different options and things that can be chosen, and you're right, they can be very expensive. That is all inclusive here. So the goal is that there's the customer portal where the end user can log in and look at their water use. And these water meters literally have a 20-year warranty. So that's another big distinction between a traditional water meter that you would buy right now, one with mechanical parts. They're typically gonna have a 1-year warranty. At the most, they would have a 5-year warranty. So with these products, they literally have a 20-year warranty. So big difference there.
So on the figures that you have, there's no additional cost whatsoever to the city, regardless of manpower to operate this, an additional supervisor to look at this program.
That's correct.
You know, things that are.
The goal is to leave the city self-sustaining, so that if the city has a new subdivision and they need to install another 20 water meters, they don't need to call Schneider Electric. So there's gonna be a significant amount of training that occurs within this project to make the city comfortable with this product, so they can go in and install those meters for themselves, to expand the system, or to replace the water meter, because we know that over time, even though they do have a 20-year warranty, we know that out of this many water meters, there will be some that fail, and they'll be covered under warranty, but we want the city to be comfortable to go in and make those repairs and replacements as necessary. That's a good question. There's kind of a lot going on here, but this is geared towards showing that year over year, the project pays for itself. And again, this is the water meters by themselves.
It's a project that pays for itself without any money coming out of the city budget.
Exactly, that's the goal.
So that's our goal, to go to the state-of-the-art type of system and basically pay for itself.
Exactly.
That's what our saying is.
And here's I prepared a slide here to show the difference between these new technology meters, which this technology has been around literally for decades, ultrasonic water metering. In the United States, I would say the products are probably about 15 years they've been on the market. So we're not talking about something that's brand new, that's experimental, and that is a big unknown. This is a very tried and true technology. So comparing that ultrasonic technology to a traditional mechanical meter, and you know, either one can be purchased as a composite or metal body. The big difference is I've highlighted in green with that 20-year warranty. It's really outstanding. And moreover, there is a 20-year guarantee on accuracy. So that tells you, the manufacturers, they really have confidence in these products, because you cannot have a guarantee on accuracy on those traditional meters. It doesn't exist. It's impossible. And then another thing, when we look at in the middle there, the start flow. That's another big difference between the new technology and the old technology. The old technology, it would start to register water flow at about 1/8 of a gallon. And so that seems like a low flow, an 1/8 of a gallon per minute. It's about a pint every minute. But over the course of a year, an eighth of a gallon per minute leak is 60,000 gallons. So it translates into a lot of water. Where these new water meters, they're gonna go down to 1/66 of a gallon. So that's much lower, it's really just a few ounces, and they're able to capture that water. And then obviously, we talk about the moving parts. That's the big difference there. Anything with moving parts in it, when it's submerged in water, dealing with hard water with calcium carbonate, it's gonna fail over time. So by eliminating those moving parts, that's really the big technology leap forward.
I'm curious, so the ultrasonic, would they be able to let the operator know that there's a leak or something?
Exactly. So that's a nice benefit. Right now, with the meters read once a month, you could have a leak midway through the month, and it could be leaking for 2 weeks before you get a bill and realize it. So this technology, specifically with the reading side, the radio reading, it's gonna have the ability to have that data, and you're gonna be able to look at it even on a daily or hourly basis. Additionally, alarms can be set up so that you can have, if you use a certain amount of water, maybe if it's over 1,000 gallons a day, it can notify you as an alarm. And then it can also be set up such that it's waiting and looking overnight, and it's expecting your water use to go down to 0 overnight. It should go to 0 overnight on most customers. And if it doesn't, it can set up an alarm for a leak. So it does give you that benefit, and it has more features. These are some of the other things that we look at with the city projects. And, obviously the water meters are the big one, but the additional thing we looked at was the LED lighting. So, we're gonna talk about that just a little bit, I think, in the next slide. So when we talk about LED lighting, everybody's familiar with solid state lighting and the benefits as far as eliminating glass and ballasts, moving away from fluorescent lighting, high intensity discharge lighting, all these technologies. The LED market is really mature, and the benefits are very significant. We want to make the lighting project as comprehensive as possible. We don't want to just come in and do the bulbs that are, the easiest to get to, and then leave all of the ones that are very difficult to access. Because part of the benefit with LED lighting is not just the energy savings, but it's also the light quality. The third big benefit is the maintenance. So, if we leave a whole bunch of older bulbs around here, then we kind of miss out on that maintenance part, because you're still gonna have a lot of failures. You're still gonna be dealing with it. So we want the project to be comprehensive, and then 10-year warranty on the products that we install. That's outstanding. When LED products first came out, they really weren't great. I'm talking about 8 years ago when they first hit the market. We saw lots of failures, the efficiencies weren't great, they would change funny colors over time. So fast forward to now, and manufacturers have perfected that technology, and LED products really are a great solution. We're seeing a 74% reduction in power, so that's outstanding. Obviously reducing or eliminating glass and bulbs. I think everybody's seen LED lights, and you can see they're available in the same different color temperatures as fluorescent lighting. In most of our projects, we do move a little bit closer to daylight. Just it's a little bit more efficient. It's a little bit more efficient for the human eye. With this project, like Aaron talked about, we have a $3,500 rebate we're estimating from AEP, and that's something that we apply for with the project, and that's money that goes straight back to the city. The project financials on the LED project, $640,000 with $1.3 million savings, one-time utility rebate. So over the course of 20 years, it's a little over $700,000 benefit. And we talk about 20 years, where the water meters have a literal 20-year warranty. LEDs don't have that long a warranty, they have a 10-year warranty. And so that's a long warranty for the LED industry. Most of it's 5 years. We deal with a little higher quality products, and it's 10. But in the same way that a car warranty might be 3 years, we expect that car, we know that car is gonna last much longer than 3 years. Same thing on these LEDs. They're not expired at the end of 10 years. They're expected to last 20 years plus.
Can you explain a little bit more about which lights we're going to see?
Sure. And so, like we talked about, we want to be very comprehensive. So that includes the lights in this room here, these compact fluorescents in the center of the room. It includes the 2x4 linear fluorescents out there in the lobby. It's really nice to have a lighting job that's done all at once instead of piecemeal, because it's all new, it's all bright, it's all the same color temperature. Even in this room, when these lights are on, you can see there's one bulb in the back here that's a little bit more blue. newer than the others. It's just somebody purchased a lamp that was a different color temperature, and it just looks a little different. So it's nice to be able to go through and take care of all those things, but the idea that is that it's very comprehensive, from the small light fixtures like this, all the way up until the large 1,500 watt lights that are on the baseball fields. So, the idea is for you very comprehensive. That's right. So when we talk about the interior lighting, the light fixtures are retrofit. In other words, the ballast and the bulbs all come out. It's retrofit to LED. But when we talk about exterior fixtures, they are replaced. So
For the baseball field lights and all those.
exactly. What we see is
Parking lot lights, the wall packs that are around the buildings, those would be completely replaced.
those fixtures are outside, they're just worn out from the sun and the exposure. The weather seals are typically shot, and lenses are in poor condition. So we just replace those in their entirety. When we know about the inside of the building, the fixtures are in an air-conditioned building, even though they might be 20 years old, they're still in really good condition. That's a good question. So this is a combined cash flow with the two projects. And the combined project price is about $4.5 million. And again, the key is that it's paying for itself over year over year, every year. This project at the end of 20 years is a little bit more cash positive, so it's actually $2 million positive over the course of 20 years. This is, again, we're using the interest rate at 2.25%. That's the next step, is to go and look to see what those rates are. We expect that to be better, and that will make this cash flow better for the city. So we're really looking at market time for borrow money, is really the best it's ever been. I would say.
So 3.8 just for the meters to 4.5 for both.
Yes, sir.
And going back to it, like I asked on another one, that there's no cost to the city other than, I mean, of course, we're gonna go get the loan, we'll get some pay itself.
Yes, sir.
There's no guarantee, is there any guarantee to pay itself?
That's a great point. So part of this project is that the project will pay for itself. There's a guaranteed amount of energy savings. And the idea is that if we say this project's gonna pay for itself every year, that money's gonna come out from the energy savings, from the added revenue, that's gonna pay for the note every year. If that doesn't happen, the city has to come out of pocket somewhere. The goal is, we're telling you that's not gonna happen, and Schneider Electric's saying it's guaranteeing that it's not gonna happen. So if we say there's $100,000 in added revenue, and in the first year it winds up being $80,000, then Schneider Electric's going to write the city a check for $20,000 to make up the difference.
For a period of 20 years, is that including future cost of replacements and cost of things changing or things not being compatible? Like on water meters, you know, a lot of times manufacturers change and they say, well, now that's not compatible with what software that you have. Now you have to change the software, you have to change all the water meters in order to continue. You know, 20 years is a long time. So this is assuming that there's no change in an extra cost in the future. Can that be included in there?
Well, we're not expecting, so that water meter not only includes the installation of water meters themselves, but it also includes the software to gather the data, or to take in all the radio reads. And that's a utility billing system. It's designed to be very robust, and it's not designed to be replaced at the end of 5 years. So it's designed, those systems last an incredibly long time. And with LED lighting, there's no cost like that associated with it. It's just, it's really just a retrofit and a replacement of the lamps that are existing.
I just wanted to ask, you mentioned that after the first year, if it was off by 20,000, you'd be making a check. How about after the second year? Does that continue on for the life of the project?
Well, the goal really, if we do those measurements, we come up and we find that it is short, and that does happen. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. The goal is to correct the problem first. So Schneider Electric's gonna owe the city that money, but we're gonna, instead of having to pay the city that money every single year, we're gonna go address that problem. We need to identify what the problem is. Were the LEDs, are they using more power than we estimated? Does it show to be a 100-watt light fixture and it's actually using 150? Were the old light fixtures using less power than what we measured and estimated? Or was there a discrepancy on the water meters? Are they not functioning as they should? So the thing to do, the Schneider Electric to do is get involved and figure out where the discrepancy is and try to fix it. That way we're not coming out of pocket every year. If we can't fix it, then we don't. But like I said, you know, our goal, of course, is not to write the city a check, but it has happened. We've had a lot of projects.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn it back over to Aaron to talk a little bit about,
Yeah, we covered this, page last time, and, this is part of your selection process, and we're just, selecting us, but just to recap, Schneider's done over 785 projects nationwide. We've been doing these type of projects, which is, the type of project is called a performance contract, meaning that, as we were talking about the guarantee, if we don't perform and our numbers don't match up at the end, then we're cutting a check for the difference for the next, 20 years if we can't correct that problem. We've got over 50 customers that have done multiple projects with us. We've got over 15 offices throughout Texas. We have one here in Florida. So service is always a big issue with our customers to get to our customers quickly. So the good thing is we've got an office here. I live here in McAllen. We've been ranked 2 years in a row as the #1 company in the world for these type of projects against some of the big, all our big competitors, Siemens, Johnson Controls, many of the other big players in this type of arena. On the right side is just a snapshot of some of the projects that we've done throughout Texas on the local government side. And then we have some school districts too that we've worked with as well. And those are the, project values of those different projects, along with the annual savings that were, we went into contract with them under. Next slide. So, as I had began earlier, we started off with, at the very beginning, on the first, second, third, fourth, we're really at getting to number 5 now. So when we last met, we had presented the preliminary findings to you. That was number 2. And then you went ahead and went under contract with us, which is number 3. And then we are now finished up with the design and development of this project. So the next phase is to move forward into a construction contract. We've already have sent our contract over to Mr. Salinas. The attorneys are reviewing, the city attorneys have been reviewing it. The next step is to look into financing, to try to see what's the best financing, interest rate we can get back from the city. And then move into the construction as well. So today's just a presentation only. So at the next meeting, if y'all decide that this is a project that fits well for the city, then we move forward into moving into the next steps. So we'll open it up at this stage.
How long will it take for you to install all those meters in our city?
we're estimating 8 months. So the contract will probably say a year, but our goal is to have 8-month installation.
What about the other new project?
That's one thing that we'll have to look at as far as increasing it to make up for the cost, because these meters are more expensive than your traditional. So there would be an increase in the meter, like whenever they're going to install a new meter for a new construction, then that one, it will, increase in cost. So we do need to look at changing those rates as well. And that's just for new homes,
We also gotta be ready because now that there are 58% of meters not reading right.
Correct.
When they read right, they're giving
Yeah.
the bill. They go. I guess at the end of the day, people that they do use it will be okay with it, but when they're not, they'll say, wait a minute.
Right. And that's why the software itself will help us in all that, and there won't be really human error anymore. And we will be able to show them, this is
just the water meter, or the
Well,
next meeting we would?
I kind of wanted to kind of get your feedback from each commissioner, just kind of, you know, do we want to do the lighting as well? I know that it's, in our library, the lighting's horrible. It's something that I think would be a good benefit, and it's really just up to how far we want to go in regards to the construction side of it.
Commissioner, you may not, I'd work on the lights. You have to work on the lights in the park.
I mean,
We already got the bulb. We already got the bulb.
I mean,
it's kind of all come down to the project paying for itself, and that's the main goal. I don't want it to affect our citizens in regards to the taxing or in regards to anything else. Just everyone pay for what you're using, and that's it.
So all new buildings, in the city building and the library, is with Magic Valley, not with AEP.
That's correct, yes, sir.
So you
I
took
think
that
that's
into
a
account? So,
In Magic Valley, we're not typically able to have any type of incentive utility rebates in Magic Valley.
so you're figuring on the rest of the project, coming in with the $35,000?
Yes, sir.
Also, one of the next steps that Mr. Salinas will be bringing to you is, this type of project under a performance contract has to be reviewed by a third-party engineer. So one of the next steps is for a third-party engineer that will review our findings, our estimates, and they will come back and give you a letter, stamped by their stamp, letting you know whether they agree or disagree. So you get that benefit of that reassurance that we're not just making up some numbers here.
Any more questions?
I'm in agreement with doing both, but
just a quick question, also, like, so these meters will be connected to a switchboard, right?
There'll be an antenna placed on the water towers. They'll read through there and then shoot it to the center.
So how do we, like, I guess we're gonna have to remind them how do we notify
the next morning,
the next morning?
yeah.
Oh, as far as a leak or something like that.
Yeah, somebody will pay this, they notice the water is running.
Right.
So public works will have access to that,
No, it would be through the building side.
And the customer themselves will have access to another portal to log in and look at their usage. And they have contact information in there that the system will contact them through a text.
Oh, okay.
So it is, we find that, you know, it's typically not a board of people that utilize that system. It's not like 98% of people create an account use it. But people that do use it, it is very nice. You can set up alarms on high water usage, you can set it up on leak detection. So it's nice.
It's awesome because they'll notify the customer right away.
So you could know about a leak within the next day as opposed to possibly being 20 days on a regular billing
Yeah.
cycle, which is a little big shock. Nobody really does it quick.
Great.
And part of the support that we'll bring during the project is helping the community understand what the project is. And, we'll get some help out with press releases, whether it's door mount, hangers that explain what's gonna be happening. So there's a lot of communication that we will support the city in bringing, that we are experienced in, to make sure that it flows smoothly.
Regarding your performance guarantee, you mentioned that after the first year, you'll check in, if not, you'll go ahead and reimburse, you'll go ahead and contribute to the city's shortfalls, whatever. You didn't mention that you mentioned that you would have to look into the system. But whatever tweaks or things that need to be done to the system, is that gonna cost the city any more money, or is that gonna be on your neck?
That's a great question. So that would be entirely Schneider Electric's responsibility.
So the city, if their shortfalls continues, and even after you tweak and tweak and tweak, basically you will be covering the shortfalls and any costs or expenses regarding tweaking the system.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Yeah, we're gonna fix it, we can't fix it that first year, and it's a mistake that we made on our end. We're gonna pay the city at the end of that first year for the next 20 years, that short. We're gonna get it up. It's not gonna be on a year to year. If we can't fix it, which, I mean, it's rare that this happens, but that's the risk is all taken to our side. We've been doing this business, I've worked for many years, and our guys are
also looking to do it for also 40-hour week to get paid after the 40 hours at overtime, not 43 as it is, we're currently. If you have any questions for the chief, it's great.
Motion?
Second.
Moving the second, we approve consent of public hearing?
Aye.
Item L, consider an action, the variance request to allow for a 0 front setback instead of the code minimum 25 feet front setback and a 3.5 side setback instead of the code minimum 5 side setback, physical located at 368 Pine Creek, legal described as lot 85, Cripple Creek 2 for Lorenzo and Gonzalez Moreno.
So Mayor, this site is located 365 feet west of Columbia Drive on the south side of Pine Creek. The staff made a neighborhood inspection of Cripple Creek 2 and found several carports that were within the minimum front setback. Several notices were sent out, this is being one of them. This particular applicant has applied for the variance for the front setback variance, but they also have a side setback of 3.5 feet. Staff is recommending approval on the front setback, but subject to leaving the 5-foot side setback and carport remaining virtually open. We did have this in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they did approve, subject to staff's recommendation.
Anyone have Gonzalita Moreno, Lorenzo Moreno here? Yes. Would you like to give to the mic, please?
Good evening, and thank you for having us, giving this opportunity to speak. My husband, Lorenzo Moreno, and I faced this variance back in August 26th, and to keep our carport where it's at. And this carport was actually built back in 2015, 2016, so we've already got this notice, 5 years later. As he mentioned, back in September 16, the 3.5 feet was discussed, and it's not obstructing or hindering any mobility, for the fire marshals to go through if needed. So, with this being said, also, this uncertain times, my husband doesn't have a lot of work, and his work has been declining. So, if we move this carport or remove it, it's going to be a financial burden also to us. So, being this said, we ask for the carport to stay where it's at and not to be moved. And lastly, we do know that 2 weeks ago, a carport like ours was approved. And with this being said, we need to have equality and fairness, not to just a group of individuals, to everyone. And I think it's fair, but it's upon your approval. That's what we seek, your approval.
Thank you, Ms. Moreno.
The motion to approve.
Second.
Move the second, the approve, present on favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item M, consider an action on a variance request to install a 396 square feet, 55 feet in height sign instead of the code maximum allowable 200 square feet per phase, 440 feet in height sign is located at 1450 West Duranta Avenue. Legal described as lot 3, Alamo Corner, St. Ives for Skylight Signs, LLC.
Yes, Mayor. A1 Skylight Signs proposes a sign. This is over here located south of Walmart.
Yeah.
It's for a storage area, and here's a picture of the sign. They're proposing 396 square feet per face and at 55 feet in height. Our code requires it to be a 200 square foot per face sign and a maximum height of 40 feet. The sign will be, of course, taller and 196 square feet larger than what would be normally allowed in this area. The applicant has not really presented anything that would constitute an unreasonable taking of property or substantial financial hardship. Since the sign proposal can easily be modified to meet the maximum allowable, sign height of 40 feet and the sign face can be 200, it's very difficult to recommend in favor of this request. We did have this in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and this, was, I guess they denied the variance at the P&Z Commission, and it was a 6-1 vote, and staff recommendation, of course, was also to deny the proposal. I think we have someone in the audience, in regards to just the cause of the sign itself.
Can you state your name, please?
Hello, I'm Steve Egan with, represent A1 Skylight Signs.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and the Mayor. My name is Bill Garza, and I'm one of the partners of Just a Closet Self-Storage.
Yeah, so when the investor, the other investor, Joey, purchased this property, it was at night on an auction, and was all excited about it because it was close to the expressway property. His other investments are in McAllen, and so he was of the assumption that he would be able to do what he's allowed to do in McAllen, which is if you're within 800 feet of the expressway, you can have an 80-foot tall sign, which he doesn't want to do that. We designed a sign that was as small as it could be and still capture the traffic from the expressway. And of course, Alamo has the highest traffic count there is, but not on Duranta on Expressway 3. So that's why he was excited. That's why he brought this investment. One of the big reasons he invested in this property. So we put our truck up at that height, a crane truck at 55 feet, and that was the height we needed to be seen from the expressway. And also we had our guys up in the basket holding different size letters, and that's how we determined the 3-foot letter of Just a Closet and the 30-inch letters of self-storage. That's what can be read. That's the minimum size that can be read from that distance. So if we go to the 40-foot sign, he's not gonna be seen. Also, the neighbor, the plaza next to him is 50 feet. And you know, I wanted to point out something else. Some of the other cities and have that sign, like McAllen, for instance, has the 800-foot rule, which increases property value and of course property taxes for taxpayers. Because now instead of just having expensive property along the frontage, and Alamo's the best place for this because you have the highest traffic count. Now you can have expensive property behind the frontage property. And of course you have to have a limit somewhere. You can't just have your entire city, but full of 80-foot signs. But that's why they have a limit of the 800-foot rule. And I think it's great for property values and taxes.
We do have a similar, just in regards to that particular code you're speaking of, we do have something similar in regards to the maximum height, and that's normally within properties that are within 1,200 feet, but it has to be a state maintained road. So if we're like on FM 907, you know, or even if Sister Chavez was a state maintained road, then maybe we can consider that. Just in regards to the height, the square footage is still the same, but I guess just wanted to mention that in regards to the height.
But you're building that storage facility there, right? Is that what?
Yes.
That's the case of it, right?
That is correct. It's behind Walmart on Duranta.
Sorry, I think we approved that already, the project, right?
We approved the site plan, yes, because the subdivision required a site plan approval. That's correct.
Well, I think that would be a perfect opportunity for people to see that we do have, you know, another storage facility here in Alamo. I know it's, you know, that area is close to the expressway, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
In the second, the approved personnel favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Item N, consideration and action, conditional use permit review, thank you, sir. Permit review for the sale and on-site consumption of alcohol, Lamley Event Center, Railroad 83 Ice House. Physically located at 106 North 9th Street, Suite A and B, legal described as 3.19 acres of the land being called Lot E. And part of St. Louis, Francisco, Mexico Railroad Company track south of Lot E, Alamo Regional Townsite subdivision for Robert.
Mayor, this property is located 210 feet north of Business 83 on the east side of Ninth